Forget everything you thought you knew about classical music. Forget the dusty portraits, the powdered wigs, and the stuffy concert halls. The story you're about to hear isn't about music. It's a story about sex, obsession, danger, and the man who became the world's first rock star, a century before the electric guitar was even invented. His name was Franz Liszt. To his contemporaries, he wasn't just a genius. He was a phenomenon, a force of nature. But behind the dazzling brilliance of the greatest pianist in history was a life so scandalous it would make today's tabloids blush. We're talking about a man whose fans behaved more insanely than followers of the Beatles. A man who ended affairs by locking his lovers in their hotel rooms. A man who dared to challenge the most feared emperor in Europe mid-concert. And a man who, after a lifetime of sin, became a Catholic abbot, but never gave up his vices. This is the story of how a genius and a demon lived in the same body. And it begins not with a melody, but with a telegram that carried a single, terrifying promise, the promise of death. Imagine this. It's October 1871. Franz Liszt, a world-famous aging maestro, receives an urgent message from America. I am coming back to Europe to kill you. This was no idle threat. The sender was his former student, a Ukrainian pianist named Olga Janina. 10 days later, she was on his doorstep holding a revolver and a collection of deadly poisons. How did one of history's greatest musicians end up in this death trap? Olga was a walking scandal. She dressed in men's clothing, smoked cigars, carried a poisoned dagger, and was obsessed with Liszt. Their relationship, possibly romantic, turned sour after he entrusted her with a valuable manuscript worth over $25,000 today. She lost the manuscript, kept the money, and decided Liszt had to pay with his life. She confronted him, insisting her only purpose was to kill him, then herself. For hours, he talked her down. The drama ended when she drank a vial of poison and collapsed in convulsions. But when the doctor arrived, the shocking truth was revealed. The poison was fake. The entire performance was a sham. The incident shook Liszt, but Olga was just one of many storms in his life. Meet Lola Montez. If Olga was an obsessed fan, Lola was a professional scandal. A dancer and courtesan, she was infamous for her explosive temper, carrying a riding crop for annoying men and a pistol for disappointing lovers. Their affair in 1844 was a clash of two giant egos. She would fly into a rage if he so much as glanced at another woman, once crashing a high society party to dance on the tables in revenge. Their relationship was passionate but unsustainable, and the way it ended tells you everything about Liszt's character. One morning, he woke up and decided he was done. But how do you break up with a woman who might shoot you? Liszt found an elegant, cruel solution. He quietly got dressed, walked out, and locked Lola inside their hotel suite. He then went to the concierge, gave him a large sum of money to keep her locked in for 12 hours, and left another stack of cash on the counter, saying, "This is for the damages. She will likely destroy the furniture." And with that, he left forever. Liszt feared no one, not even the most powerful men in the world. In 1842, while performing for Tsar Nicholas I of Russia, the monarch began talking loudly. Any other artist would have ignored it. Liszt simply stopped playing. A deafening silence fell over the hall. The Tsar's angry voice boomed. Why have you stopped playing?" Liszt bowed and with ice-cold composure delivered a legendary line. "When the king speaks, Your Majesty, everyone else must remain silent." It was a devastatingly insolent reply that proved Liszt saw himself as an equal to kings. The public agreed. The phenomenon surrounding him was so unprecedented, it was dubbed Listomania. It was history's first ever case of mass celebrity hysteria. Female fans would literally attack him, fighting over his handkerchiefs and gloves. Some carried vials to collect the dregs from his coffee cup. One admirer picked up his used cigar butt from the gutter and cased it in a diamond locket and wore it as jewelry. On stage, he was a destroyer. The pianos of that era couldn't handle his power. He snapped strings and broke hammers at nearly every concert, sometimes cracking the piano's frame. The audience expected it. They were disappointed if he didn't break a string, which they would then fight over to make into bracelets. But behind the public triumphs, a deep personal drama was unfolding. The most painful blow Liszt ever received came from his own daughter, Cosima. Married to Liszt's best student, Hans von Bülow, she began a secret affair with Liszt's best friend, a man he had championed his entire career, the composer Wagner. Wagner was 24 years older than her. He was married, she was married, none of it mattered. Cosima bore 2 of Wagner's children while still married to von Bülow. Then she abandoned her husband, took the children, and severed all ties with her father for 5 years. For Liszt, this betrayal from his daughter and best friend was an abomination that left a wound that never healed. So what does a man do after a lifetime of such scandal and grief? In 1865, Liszt shocked the world again. After a final romantic failure, when his own wedding was canceled by the Vatican at the last minute, he entered the Catholic Church and became the Abbé Liszt. But the cassock was just another costume. The minor orders he took didn't require celibacy, and his affairs continued. He used his holy status as the ultimate cover. The irony was his death. In 1886, gravely ill, he traveled to Bayreuth at Cosima's request to be used as a celebrity attraction for a festival honoring Wagner. The journey worsened his condition, and he died of pneumonia. To avoid disrupting the festival, his death was kept quiet. The great Franz Liszt was silenced one last time for the sake of the man who had betrayed him. His life was a web of contradictions. A Hungarian icon who barely spoke the language, a holy man who was no saint, a Don Juan who brought little happiness. He was the first and perhaps the greatest rock star in history, and his story proves that sometimes the wildest, most incredible music is born from the wildest, most incredible life.